Thank you so much to Lara Trump, of course, the daughter-in-law of the president, Luke's mom, probably the most important job, right? Senior advisor, Trump 2020. Laura, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you. And being a mom is a very important job. I think all moms can agree with that out there.
I could not agree with you more. It's the most important job in my house, and I have no illusions about anything other. Let's talk about what the big story of the day is, and it's not Jussie Smollett, and it's not the Green New Deal, although we'll get into the Green New Deal in a second because we're in mourning today over that thing dying. But the Mueller report, 2 years coming. For 2 solid years. Let's forget politics for a second. Let's talk about being in the Trump family, being somebody who has been proud, as far as I can tell, to have that last name and to have a son now who's a grandson of the President of the United States and be married to Eric, and he, of course, proud to be married to you. The Trump family name has always been a positive in my lifetime. I'm 52 now. For 35 years, I've known the Trump name, and I've always thought positive things. For 2 years, there was a concerted effort to indoctrinate the American people to think the Trump name was not only bad, but it was Russian spy bad. So how good must this feel, and what were the emotions going through those 2 years?
Well, it certainly feels good, not just from the perspective of being an American and knowing what we all knew all along, Joe, which was that this president did not collude with Russia. Our campaign didn't collude with Russia. I've said it a million times over the past 2 years. But certainly as a family member, it feels good to finally have the truth out there. Because, you know, no matter what we do, no matter where we go, there will always be people that think negative things about us, thanks to the mainstream media. And you're right. A couple of years ago, the Trump name, what everybody thought was great. Everybody loved Donald Trump, decides to run for president as a Republican. Funny how that changes all of a sudden. But I will tell you, we certainly have had instances over the past several years where people specifically come up and say really nasty things to us about us working with Russia, and they can't wait for the Mueller report to come out. Mueller's coming for you guys. Well, I hope all those people paid attention this weekend and saw what happened. Mueller is out with his report, and guess what? As we've said from day one, there is nothing there. It's been very frustrating for the past several years to have this narrative continue, to have this cloud hanging over all of us that we all knew was total nonsense. But thank God, now we can finally put it to rest, and we can finally get the country to move on from this, hopefully. I mean, I know there are a lot of Democrats who are sadly upset by this when every American should be celebrating this. But this is a great time for our country. This is a victory for all Americans. Everyone should be celebrating this, certainly within our family. We definitely are. It's
Lara Trump, senior advisor, Trump 2020. You know, what's interesting to me is that the media, the left, Hollywood, academia, all claimed that Trump would not accept the results of the 2016 election. And, of course, we see that Hillary didn't, the Democrats didn't, the deep state didn't, the FBI didn't, the DOJ didn't accept it, Obama didn't accept it. Then they all said, you have to accept the results of the Mueller report. Oh, Trump's going to fire Mueller, but Trump is going to accept Mueller. Now that it's out, the left isn't accepting it. There was legitimately a representative, I don't even know what state she's from, yesterday on CNN or MSNBC or some stupid network. And she actually said, I'm sure that the Mueller report still does say there was obstruction and collusion. I just haven't seen it yet. How do those words come out of her mouth? Why not say, you know what, we did due process. I'm not happy about the results. I really thought that he was doing something with Russia, but Mueller says it didn't happen. Let's move on. What happened to that?
I mean, they're hanging on to anything because let's get back to the real situation here. Donald Trump won. Everyone said he wasn't going to win. They got upset about it. They said, wait a minute. A group of people said, we know better than the American people who elected this president rightfully. And we are going to take matters into our own hands and perpetuate this narrative that the president worked with Russia to win, because everybody knows he couldn't have done it on his own. They're still upset about that. It's so sad to see that happen. But then to your point, Mueller was their last hope. Everybody was hanging on the Democrat side, the mainstream media side, to let's make sure that we get this report out, because we know, look at Adam Schiff. How many times did he say he had proof that this president was working with Russia? And all of a sudden it comes out and it's not what they wanted, because it totally clears the president in our campaign. And now they're not sure if Bob Mueller is the right person that should have done this job. Maybe we don't want to accept these. Maybe there's more in there. Well, you know what? It's going to come out, Joe, at some point.
It will.
All of it will come out, and we're excited for it to come out because
The president wants it to. He's saying let's release everything we can without putting classified information out.
Exactly.
He's not hiding from it. He's not running from it.
No, he's not, because he knows what we all know, which is that we didn't work with Russia. It's actually, to us, to people that worked on the 2016 campaign, it's so insulting, and it should be insulting to every person that voted for Donald Trump, that this is the nonsense that we have to deal with. We were so proud of the campaign that we ran. We had a lot less money than Hillary Clinton. We had a lot less experience than the people on her staff. But you know what? We knew we had the American people behind us, and we knew that's why we were going to win. Not because of Russia. It's so ridiculous that we're still talking about this. But you know what? At some point, it's going to come out, and at some point, they're going to have to find something else to attack the president for, to try and hang on to, because they know they can't beat him. They know he's doing a good job, and they're worried because they know he's going to get a second term in office.
And Lara, the fact is, you guys outworked the Hillary Clinton campaign. She would take 2 weeks off and take a nap. He'd be 3 o'clock in the morning in Grand Rapids. So, I mean, the idea that he won Michigan, won Wisconsin, won Pennsylvania, won Florida, won these states that allegedly were easy wins for Hillary Clinton is not because of Russia. It's not because of emails. I don't know. Listen, the whole Russia collusion crap, as you know, is based on John Podesta and the DNC being hacked or giving their email addresses away or their passwords or something. Not one thing that was mentioned in the emails has been proven to be untrue. That's the first thing. Second thing, Lara, have you ever met a Democrat who said, you know, I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton until I saw the emails, then I went Trump? Nobody did that. Nobody who was going to vote for her didn't vote for her because of this. So the whole thing has been a ruse from the beginning.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. I think the American people are so sick of hearing about this. And I think the way the Democrats and the mainstream media have reacted, the fact that there were television hosts, Joe, who were literally crying on camera when they had to report that there was no collusion with Russia. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of people that see that and see it for what it is and understand that they've been duped for the past 2 years by the media. And I think they're going to be very excited to vote for Donald Trump in 2020.
I think so, too. It's Lara Trump. Go follow her at LARALEATRUMP on Twitter. A great follow. She posts great stuff. The latest thing is about military veterans and the job they do, which is awesome. By the way, and I want to move past the Mueller report, people don't really know on a familial level, on a family level. When you guys first heard Russia collusion, and I don't suppose there was a Trump family meeting. Maybe there was, but you guys were eating together, or you guys were spending some time and just sitting around. Do you look at each other and say, where the hell did this come from? I mean, was it just completely out of left field, and were you flabbergasted on a personal level?
Totally. Yes, totally. Because like I said, I remember times being out on the campaign trail. I got to travel around the country on a bus with a group of incredible women, save for one who we won't name. But I got to travel around this country on a bus. And we literally had hours that we would be on there together talking about, you know, what was going to happen, the outcome of the election. And we talked about the fact that we ran such a great campaign, that we were proud that we were doing things the right way, that we knew the other side was the one with dirty tricks. And then to hear all of a sudden out of nowhere that we somehow colluded with Russia, we were all just blown away and like, wait a minute. The Trump campaign? Are we sure? You said the Trump campaign? Yeah, believe me, it was something that totally knocked us off our feet because it was so ridiculous and so untrue. We all knew it. Unfortunately, we've all had to wait for 2 years for the truth to come out. But certainly, that was a flabbergasting moment for sure.
I'll bet. It's Lara Trump, Eric's wife, Luke's mom, the president's daughter-in-law, senior advisor, Trump 2020. And by the way, an amazing broadcaster. I've got to go to the Green New Deal. It died a horrible death. We're in mourning today with the Green New Deal. This was the dumbest thing I've seen. But here's the tactic that we're hearing out of the Senate now. Lara, I got to hear from you on this. The House votes for it, right? They pass it. This big piece of garbage, no more cow farts, you can't fly in planes, no more cars. We're going to redo every building to the tune of hundreds of trillions of dollars, and we're just going to find the money, I guess. And it goes to the Senate. Now, the process is, civics-wise, you do it in the House if it's a spending bill. The Senate then either agrees or changes it. They convene, send it to the president. So the Senate gets it. Mitch McConnell dares say, okay, let's take a vote on it. And then he got in trouble because he dared take a vote. He only said, let's vote on it so that he could, kill it? That's his job. Let's put it up for a vote. And if the Senate would have said yes, then it goes to the president. How is that their tactic? That they're mad at him for voting for it or voting on it, And if he hadn't said, let's vote on it, they would have been mad at him for not bringing it to a vote. How do you win?
Yeah. Well, you know what? There are so many great bills out there that are waiting to get on the floor of the Senate. AOC should feel honored that this went as quickly as it did. I mean, I can think of dozens of things I've heard about that hopefully make it there. You never really know if they will.
Right.
But I think the reality is Democrats know how toxic and ridiculous this whole Green New Deal is,
right,
because they have finally looked into it a little bit and heard feedback from the American people who say, hey, wait a minute, $93 trillion, $600,000 for every family in this country does not sound like something I can get behind. How are we traveling overseas? On a train over the ocean? Are we taking boats everywhere now? How does any of this make sense? So I think once they started getting feedback, they said, wait a minute. And that's why, by the way, nobody voted for it. Not a single Democrat in the Senate voted for this. So I think they finally got the message. And let's hope that they don't get the message going into 2020. Let's hope they continue this nonsensical garbage that they're spewing out to the American public about socialism that so many of these candidates are running on. Because I think it's only going to help us. Although I know the president doesn't need any help to win 2020.
I agree.
I think it's going to make him look even better as a candidate to people.
Well, we'll make sure that we keep that in the news and we keep on reminding people of how dumb that whole thing was. It's Lara Trump, Trump 2020. Make sure that you go and follow her on Twitter. And again, just it's a super pleasure to always have you on. One last question, and I'd be remiss to not always bring up the economy. The economy is just banging. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You've got more companies promising to bring more jobs back, more Americans working than ever. I mean, minorities are working at a higher level than we've ever seen, more women working than ever. In fact, more Americans than we've ever seen working ever. We can't really overstate it, can we? And I think sometimes we get so, not you, but I get so used to it that I focus on the Mueller report, or I focus on whatever dumb thing that AOC is doing today, and we forget about the really great job your father-in-law's doing.
Yeah, well, it's always, I think, overlooked by so many people. But by the way, that's how you know this country is going in such a good direction, Joe, because whenever it becomes just every day that we have such a great economy, that we have more jobs in this country than we do people to fill them, that unemployment, as you pointed out, is at the lowest levels it's ever been in the history of this country. Things are going great, and that means that our country is booming and running on all cylinders. And of course, this president did things that his predecessor said you'd have to have a magic wand to do to bring back the manufacturing jobs. By the hundreds of thousands, they're coming back into this country. Yeah. And actually, the president will be in Michigan this week for a rally. We're really excited about it. And you know what? The people in Michigan are feeling the impact of the Trump presidency almost unlike any other state. You know, it's these Rust Belt states, the forgotten men and women of this country, the manufacturing jobs that they have gotten back, and they are so excited to come out and see this president. So we're very proud of the job he's doing. Thank you for recognizing it, because I know we all get a little used to it, but I think that's a good thing. That means things are going right.
As you know, we've got 15 radio stations in Michigan, so they do love him there. And the fact that he brought Michigan home was just a wake-up call to the left. They went, holy mackerel, what just happened here? It's Lara Trump. Lara, I said last question, maybe you've got 30 seconds to just, any thoughts on the Barbara Bush book comes out, Jeb Bush saying that somebody should primary the president, a president who I think is doing what a Bush would have wanted to do had they won. Is that surprising to you?
Well, it's Jeb Bush. I think he's still a little hurt over the primaries in 2016. They didn't go exactly as he wanted them to go. So I think he's still trying to throw something back there at Donald Trump. Listen, nothing is surprising anymore. We know that people will write and say just about anything to make a buck and to get their name back out there and to sell a book. So, I mean, who knows, but sort of sad that he would want to change the trajectory of this country when, again, we're just talking about how great things are going. You look at how well things are going with the economy, but look at on the world stage, Joe. We have it's just epic what has happened since Donald Trump took office, that we have reclaimed our place on the world stage. We see negotiations with North Korea to possibly denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. You see what this president has done with Israel. Across the board, things are going well. I don't know why anybody would want to change that, but it's Jeb, so who knows? It is. It's Jeb. That's the answer. It's Jeb. Lara Trump, thank you so much for taking the time.